Hi everyone, I'm True Soul, and welcome back to another Toy Talk. So yeah guys, I decided to go ahead and call it Toy Talk, since I'm just going to be rambling about toys pretty much. Got a couple things to share with you guys today. First, one thing I wanted to go ahead and talk about was my next stop motion idea that I got after the Battle Royale that I told you guys I was working on. For those of you who follow my TikTok or maybe have seen it posted on my YouTube, I did a small little short series with the clone troopers. It was kind of just supposed to be like a silly little, I guess, skit stop motion in a way that I did with the clone troopers actually. So I had a lot of fun making that. It was like a simple little thing that I didn't have to do a whole lot of editing in order to make. And the videos did pretty well on my TikTok, so I figured it would be fun to do something like that, but instead of clone troopers, I'm going to do stormtroopers this time. So it's going to be a little short series. I'm planning on trying to get some of my friends to voice act for it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that's all going to work out. But segueing into troopers, I did get a couple of new troopers from my collection that I wanted to share with you guys. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. First up is the Death Trooper. Now I already have some Death Troopers in my collection, but I really wanted to get the one that had like the pauldron and like the extra gear on. And as far as I know, they've only released, like Black Series, they've only released them in like 2 packs. I think the first one came out with, I think, Cassian Andor. He was in a 2-pack with Cassian Andor. And then later on they did another one with the Shore Trooper. But I found this guy on eBay. Someone was selling him for $13.99. So I was like, of course I'm going to go ahead and get him. So now I have kind of like a Death Trooper commander to lead the rest of my Death Troopers into battle. So I'm going to be adding this to my Rogue One display, so I'm very happy that I finally got that. I might get one more Death Trooper. I might get the one from the they made one from like it was this line where like the characters were like based off of like how the concept art for like the Mandalorian looked, and they made a Death Trooper for that. He pretty much looks like this but like more dirtied up, so I might get him so I can have a 4-man fire squad. But anyway, really glad that I got this trooper. I took this gun from the new Sand Trooper that they made just because I thought a Death Trooper having a bigger gun looks more intimidating to me personally. I really like the way it looks. So really glad that I got that. But anyway, we're going to segue a little bit, and we're going to go ahead and talk about just something that's been bugging me personally. It hasn't been bugging me like extremely. It's just something that I've noticed that Hasbro's been doing with their figures lately that I want to talk about. And to better help explain this, I'm actually going to use Indiana Jones from the Adventure series. Sadly, they stopped making these figures, which is sad because I think that a lot of them came out really good. But whenever they came out with the Adventure series for Indiana Jones, let me adjust my camera just a little bit. One notable thing that I noticed about like how they make their figures is the hands. And I'm gonna pop Indiana Jones' hand off and show you what I'm talking about. So on a lot of the Indiana Jones figures, there's a ball joint that is inside the arm piece that the hand connects to. It's not a peg. Let's see, you just got the hole in here, and then it fits into a ball joint which is on the arm, and then you can just rotate the arm around like that. I mean, you get a decent range of motion. But anyway, with the Star Wars figures traditionally, and I'm going to use this Luke I think he was an Amazon exclusive. He came in a pack with Yoda. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Traditionally, the Star Wars Black Series figures have a peg. They got a peg sticking out of the hand, and then they just got a hole that you stick that into. So that's primarily how they do things for Star Wars Black Series, with a lot of the Jedi, a lot of the troopers that have, you know, hands. That's how it's normally done. But as of late, they've switched that up, and I'm going to use Kamir, or the Stranger from Star Wars Acolyte, to show you what I'm talking about. And I'm going to pop his hand off, and as you see, his hand is the same as the Indiana Jones figures. You got the ball joint inside the arm piece, and then just the hole in the hand, and then you just stick it on there. And it's not just Kamir. They've been doing that with a lot of the more newer figures. The Episode 3 Obi-Wan and Anakin also use that. And it's kind of strange, because on one hand, I like it, but then on the other hand, it does make it a little hard whenever I buy certain figures for custom reasons. Maybe there's like parts or hands on them that I like, but I can't use them because I can only use them with certain arms that have, you know, the ball joint and whatnot on it. In some cases, I do like the ones that have like the hinges, because I feel like even though you can't move the hand in like a 360 direction, the range of motion that you can get on the peg with that hinge in it, you know, seems a little bit better. And with the ball joints, although like I said, you can move it in a 360 way, you can only move it down or up but so much because of that ball joint. So in some ways, having the ball joint in the hand kind of limits the articulation in a way. It's very odd. And that was very evident whenever I got my new Anakin. And I'm gonna see if I can fish out my old Anakin so I can show you guys what I'm talking about. Here he is. So this is my old Episode 3 Anakin. And as you can see, I'll try to get his hands up here. So this Anakin has like the more traditional peg and then the hinge hands. So he can only move it up and down. But like, for example, if you want him to like get his hand up in like a force push kind of pose, it really doesn't look that bad. But now I'm gonna go get my other Anakin. Now Avi, this Anakin just overall looks better. I mean, the older Anakin is almost a decade old. But as you can see with this hand, and he has the 360 hand, which you can, you know, because of that ball joint. But like, for example, if I want to get him to a force push, I can't get his hand to go up as much. So I gotta get, you know, to compensate, I have to use the other joints. So it's just something that I noticed. I don't know if they're going to be doing this with just all their figures moving forward. I've noticed it a lot on some of the newer figures, so I don't do reviews as much as I used to, but I'm going to try to keep in mind how they be doing these hands. Because it seems like moving forward, they're just going to be having the ball joint on there. I would like to know what you guys think about that overall. But another thing I noticed that Hasbro's been doing, and I actually don't really have a problem with this at all, is the individual neck joints. So a lot of Star Wars figures now have been having individual neck joints where the neck moves independently of the torso and the head, so you can kind of get a better overall range of motion. A lot of the older Star Wars figures do not have that. The neck is just a part of the torso, and then you can like just move the head. You can't move the neck around. And I feel like they've been doing that a lot more recently, but there are some of their older figures, like this Luke. I'm pretty sure this Luke's neck piece is a separate piece. But primarily they didn't do that with a lot of their figures until recently. Another character that I think had a separate neck piece, I believe Padme. Yep, Padme also had a separate neck piece, which is weird because I feel like with this figure there's a lot of other things that are wrong with Padme, which is why I feel like she needs an upgrade. But she was also one of the figures back in the day that had a separate neck piece, and I really like that a lot. Now, yeah, when it comes to customs, yeah, there are certain pieces that you can't pair with things because of that, but moving forward, I'm trying to be more mindful of figures that have that separate neck piece. One thing that's kind of annoying though when making customs with that is a lot of times there's a separate peg, or not a peg, like a ball joint that's inside the neck. So like a ball joint that's connected to the head that keeps it moving like this, and then a ball joint that's usually connected inside to the neck. So a lot of the times that ball joint is made specifically for, you know, the head and the neck piece. So if you were going to use a character's head and neck for something, you'd most likely have to use that same ball joint and make sure you take that out and, you know, replace it with that. And I'm going to show you guys kind of what I'm talking about in a later video, because I am planning on walking you guys through a more simpler custom that I've made in the past, because there are some Marvel Legends figures, mostly MCU ones, that also have separate neck joints. So I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about with that, but we're going to talk about that in a later episode. But yeah, just some different joint changes that I've noticed throughout the months of me collecting. And yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. I thought I should mention that. But for the last thing I want to talk about some collection updates. I got 2 new Star Wars figures. These were the last ones that I pre-ordered from Big Bad Toy Store. As I mentioned in other videos, I'm not really pre-ordering stuff anymore, and I've noticed that by me not pre-ordering stuff, I've been saving a lot more money, so that's great. Always good to save some money. But I got the new Attack of the Clones Jango Fett. This is a all new sculpt, a different sculpt than the one from the old one, and I'm going to compare the new one and the old one a little bit. It's not going to be a full-fledged review, just a quick little, you know, comparison. And I also got the Asajj Ventress Bounty Hunter from Clone Wars. Now, I'm be honest, I do like the look of this figure, but I primarily got this for customs because this is a very cool, unique look. And I noticed that there's some pieces that I might want to use for customs in the future, especially that helmet. So this one I didn't really get for my display, but I got the Jango one for my display. So we're going to really focus on Jango today, and I'm going to take him out of the packaging and compare him to the old Jango that I got. And here he is, guys, the new, and I'm going to assume improved Jango Fett out of the packaging. One thing that I already noticed, and in fact, I'm going to put this Jango Fett down, and I'm going to go grab my other Jango Fett before I start rambling on about the differences. Here's the old Jango Fett. You can kind of tell right off the bat, the body sculpt is a little different. This one seems a little bit more slimmer, kind of more like movie proportions than the old one. But one thing that I noticed when moving it around is there were these, like, I don't really want to call them ropes, like wires on the old Jango Fett. Whenever I would bend them a certain way, the wire, as you can see, would like come out. And I always thought that was annoying because it's like I pretty much had to keep his arm from bending to keep that wire from coming out. Now on this one, as you can see, I bent the wire, or I bent the joint, and the wire is still in there. I'm having a little trouble on the other side though, for some reason. But look at that, see, I bent it and the wire did not come out. I don't even know if it can come out. But that is one thing I found annoying about the old one, and they fixed that with this new one, so I'm really happy about that. And this new one also doesn't seem as stiff. So his shoulder pads are actually connected to the rest of his armor. They're connected to like his chest plate. That's a lot different from the old one, where, as you can see, the shoulder piece is like separate. It's connected to the arm, but it's not connected to the chest piece, which it doesn't seem to hinder articulation that much. I think it's because of what the material is made out of. So I really like that a lot. Another thing that I like, I'm going to pop the helmet off, is the head sculpt. Head sculpt is a lot better than the original one. Let me adjust the lighting a little bit so you guys can see. Yeah, it's a lot better. Not that the old one did look bad, but like with the new photo reel that they're using, it looks a lot better. I don't know if you guys can tell, I'm noticing a little bit of scuffage on the nose. I think that's from the helmet. I can wipe that off later though. Get a magic eraser and wipe that off later. But yeah, I really like this figure a lot, guys. And also his little antenna thing, now it can go down, like how a lot of the Mandalorian helmets work now. The old one could not do that. But now that I got this new Jango Fett, this old one is probably going to be reduced to custom fodder. I don't really have any ideas to make a Mandalorian right now. I might mess around with painting on this Jango, maybe his helmet, just to kind of, because you know I'm still trying to practice with painting and whatnot. But yeah, guys, I'm very glad to have this new Jango for my collection. Go ahead and put the helmet back on. Also, it goes without saying, he also has a separate neck piece. Very nice. Stick that helmet on there. And yeah, guys, that's Jango for you. So before I make this video go on any longer, I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here. Feel free to express your opinions on any and all things that I talked about on the video today. And also be sure to subscribe so you'll stay updated whenever a new toy talk or stop motion video comes out, guys. Alright, until then, be sure to like, subscribe, and go to my channel, check out other videos. Catch you later.